Hey guys, so this is the first video in a series of videos sort of regarding my endurance and long range testing. And as you know, I did a video on some of these motors that I got, and this build here has the RotorX 1404 3600 kV motors. I built this 3-inch FlexRC Ascent frame with a split mini here. I wanted to do some long range flying with some endurance flying to get some HD footage, and got Crossfire receiver in here. And by the way, I did a video before about Crossfire and the Jumper T8 SG Plus with the GR module bay in the back. I have been flying this with that module in the back of my Jumper, and I don't really notice much latency. I know that people were saying that there's a lot of latency, but it doesn't feel any different from flying a FreeSky receiver. So to me, it feels the same. But I'm not doing gates. I'm not flying at 150 miles an hour. I'm just cruising around and just flying, kind of casually. So for that situation, I'm not sure if anyone's gonna be feeling the latency anyway. So just letting you guys know that it does work, and the latency isn't that much of an issue for me for my type of flying. So if you guys are curious about that, that's what I've been doing. This particular setup here is actually, I kind of gutted the parts from the 2.5-inch Ascent frame that I built a while back, and I just moved over the HGLRC Zeus all-in-one board. So it's F4 flight controller plus 4-in-1 ESC and a single board, and then the split mini is on top of that. And the reason I moved it over is because I ended up breaking the video transmitter in a crash, so I'm using a different video transmitter here. This is the AKK Nano 3, which is not really meant for using in this sort of fashion. It's supposed to go on the back of a camera, but I should probably put like a 600 milliwatt board in here if I want to go long range. Didn't really do any like long range in terms of like far away flying. I just wanted to see how long I could fly in terms of endurance flying, and you'll see a couple of flights that I did. And I flew around with the first flight with these 3-bladed Gemfan 3035 props. I got about 8 minutes, and then tried these Gemfan 3025 2-bladed props. Also got about 8 minutes, which was kind of interesting. I was just kind of cruising around. I was not really doing a lot of punch outs, and I was flying with this China Hobbyline 4S650 LiPo. Don't know if this is their top of the line battery or what. I know this has a white cover, and then I've seen the other ones in the 650 size with the orange covers, so I'm not sure if it's a different line or whatever. Maybe someone could help me out and point out what the difference is. But on both the flights on the two different props, similar flight times, about 8 minutes. The voltage stayed pretty consistent. I wasn't really drawing a lot of amps with the setup here, and at the very end of the battery, the voltage severely dropped off a cliff. It went from like 13.5 volts to quickly to like 12 volts, and then from 12 volts it just dropped all the way to 8 volts, and then I ended up, in both situations, ended up crashing because the voltage dropped so fast without me realizing that I was going that far, because I didn't realize how much time I could get on this battery. It just felt like, oh, I'm going 8 minutes on this battery, 13.5 volts. It seemed fine. I was just cruising around because when you're just cruising around on these motors, they're drawing less than 5 amps of power, so it's not going to sag the battery. So basically the setup here just drains the battery completely dry, and at that point you have no power whatsoever, and it just falls to the ground. So something to be aware of if you're doing endurance flying. You're not going to get much warning that the battery is about to die. So you have to do basically time tests like I'm doing now to know that this battery. So like now I know this battery will only give me about 8 minutes. So I need to probably fly at the most 7 minutes and then land. Otherwise I'm risking crashing. So something you guys should be aware of. Anyway, so I'll go show you a couple of flights here with these motors here, the RotorX 1404 3600 kV. I'm going to build out the clear light frame. It's also a 3-inch frame, so kind of similar to this frame here, but with the Airblade Superman motors, which are 1404 3850 kV, and I've heard that those motors are pretty similar in terms of efficiency to these RotorX motors. So we're gonna do, well, I guess we'll see. We'll find out. I'm gonna try and build something kind of similar, about similar weight. Not sure if I'll use a split mini in that one or not. Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see. But I want to get an idea if those motors are going to give me about an 8-minute flight time on a 650 milliamp hour battery. If you guys have setups that can go more than 10 minutes, leave me a comment below. I'm curious on a 3-inch prop, something like this with these, kind of super efficient motors, what kind of setup you have with for HD recording, and your weight. Leave me a comment below, and if you have videos or whatever, also let me know about that too. I'm kind of curious because I'm trying to find setups that are going to be long endurance types of setups, so that talking 10-15 minutes of flight time on a 600 to 800 milliamp hour 4S LiPo on these 1404 type motors. So definitely would be interested in hearing more about that, so let me know in the comments below.